Hey Stephanie, thank you so much for coming in today. That was an interesting one. I'm not too concerned, honestly, on kind of the spot in the low back. That's the tender spot. We had pretty good luck with that today with the ultrasound, kind of calming it down. I'm more concerned just kind of the general tightness around it. I really think this is a more mobility, like we talked about, lack of mobility kind of throughout the hips, hamstrings, lower core area, just putting a lot of pressure on that area. And I also see it less about stretching, although I have a lot of stretching for you to do here, but more just kind of about postures and positions. If you're sitting for more than 20 minutes, it's probably time to at least adjust your sit and add some more extension. We didn't really get into ergonomics today, but if you can, increase that lumbar arch either with a pillow or in the car, increase that lumbar adjustment, that can go a long way. Or like we just talked about, finding different positions. Lay on your belly when you can. Stand and walk when you can. Kind of get into a squat when you can. Just anything but this, because the bike riding, the work, the car, just a lot of your resting position is it's putting a lot of pressure right there. So we'll come back to that. There are four stretches, but 4 areas that I want you to address. I'm gonna show you a couple different options with the other ones. We didn't really find like home runs in here today. I was really hoping we'd find 1 or 2 that were just, oh man, that's it. But we found a lot of just little tightnesses, right? Especially right side more than left side. And whenever we see anything happening on one side, especially the injury side, that's not happening on the other side as much, that's really what I want to address first. So I'm hoping we address these first, kind of get you a little more symmetrical. Then next time, I'm excited to talk about core and postures, and maybe even a little core strength, lower body strength that we didn't really get into, because I know you want to get a little more prep for your hikes and your walking and all that. So we're not quite there yet. I just want you to keep doing your normal routine and exercise. Just fit this in the program somehow. So first one, hip flexors. I got 2 that I like. One, go ahead and throw over here. One we tried in here. It's honestly a little less, this isn't very hip flexor specific. It was honestly more quad. But one thing I want you to do, so if you can find something at home to prop your foot up on, it's gonna be high, almost waist high. That way you get a really good thigh stretch. Where we really did good was pushing that hip forward. All right, that's gonna not only increase the thigh and the hip flexor stretch, but it's gonna put you in that back extension position. I want, with all of these stretches I'm gonna give you, I don't want you to stretch them and go to your normal kind of hunched over bad posture. I want you to really think good posture. If you need to add a little hand here where that sore spot is and push that forward, I think you're gonna get more bang for your buck stretching it this way. So I'd hit both legs. I don't really, again, no timing, no reps, just the more time spent here, the better. So you really can't overdo that. If you're not loving that one, another hip flexor one I like, we didn't have a chance to try in here, but I think you'd be a really good candidate for, is when you're lying in bed, kind of shimmy off the edge a little bit so that right leg can drop. And then that is a nice passive way to stretch this front. Every time we kind of went up and over, you'd get pinchy in the front, and I don't want that. So we're trying to stretch the front here. This one is just a lay in bed for 5 minutes in this position, 10 minutes in this position. If you watch TV, read a book, do whatever, just gravity is gonna take that leg down and increase that stretch as you go. So I want it to be a very relaxed position if you can. If you can make that work passively, great. If you can make the standing one work, that's a little more forceful, that would be awesome. All right, we're gonna move down. So that was hip flexor, kind of front of the hip. Now we're gonna go back to the back side, the booty. Again, we had definitely a tight spot with that piriformis. I thought our best go-to was, again, this could be on the couch or on the edge of the bed or something like that. This 90 degree here. When you went straight down, you felt a lot of hamstring. So I don't really want that one here. I want you to add more of that turn while you lean down. Think left shoulder to right knee. I think that's what's gonna get your hip involved. That was pretty tight. So this, whenever you can, again, what are we gonna do with all of our stretches is we're gonna try to reach for good posture. So try to have chest up while you do this instead of being all tucked down. That one, that's a little bit of a learning curve to that one. So if you want an easier version, that was simply just crossing, and we talked about kind of hugging the knee. So you can hug the knee, add that little turn. I think that'll hit you pretty good as well. Again, that muscle connects to your tailbone where you're having some of that SI pain. So I think that will be very welcome to get this area loosened up. Again, can't do it enough. Since it's hard for you to put some of these stretches into action because they're not part of the plan or the itinerary, and I know we're not necessarily adding to that, what I would do is try to get in all these stretches and perform a task, whether that is, write a text, write an email, read a chapter, whatever you can do, just get comfortable being in this position, because I don't want this to be just, and I'm done. I want you to spend some quality time there and really figure out which of these muscles is the biggest culprit, because I'd love to know that next time. If you could find that out for me, that'd be great. Next is the hamstring. Easy version. Again, I always want to have a seated or a desk version that you can do with all these, for when you really can't get away from work, or just sneak them into, throughout your work day. So the first one's going to be kind of just leaning forward. Again, good posture. Think chest towards knees. All right, and then from here you kick out. And the harder you kick out with your thigh, the more hamstring stretch you're getting. Relax, reset. Could always hit the other leg, but we know that right one's a bit tighter. What I'm gonna like for you, I think a little more long term with your hamstrings, I'm gonna go ahead and grab our weights. This kind of played off of your deadlift technique. So again, two things here. If you're gonna do deadlifts, I love it. I would do it with your butt against the wall to start with. Butt against the wall with the feet a little bit away from the wall, maybe a foot away. And that's gonna help your posture a lot. That's gonna bring that deadlift to your hamstrings, which is where it's supposed to be, instead of to your back. All right, so you keep your back straight here, slight bend in the knees. That's a great hamstring lengthener and strengthener. Now, to focus more on the stretch, which is what you want, stagger your feet, and then we just kind of reverse the rep, where instead of just barely tapping here and getting back out, you're gonna spend some good time here, 5 to 10 seconds, good breathing, good hold, good stretch, and then when you need a little break, you just simply pop up and reset. So great way to stretch that right hamstring with that right foot out in front, like that. Go ahead and switch, but it's nice because it seamlessly works into your deadlifts. So the next time you do your deadlifts, I'd go ahead and throw the hamstring stretch, but again, you can't go wrong adding that wherever. All right, and then the last one we had in here today, it's probably a little less to do with the back injury, but more of just general curiosity for that Achilles. Again, if you have that slant board, I'm gonna throw these together just so they kind of mimic the calf slant board that you already have. Just go both feet on. All right, the trick for you is gonna be bending the knees. Just by bending the knees, that's gonna shoot that stretch lower into the Achilles area. If you need to back off and do it one leg at a time, sometimes you can get a little bit more aggressive that way. Get a little more lean, a little more body into it. But you also can't do wrong, just kind of a squatted stretch. That'll hit you in the right spot. We can play with that down the road too. So those are the 4 areas I want. Hip flexor or front of the hip, piriformis or back of the hip, hamstring, and Achilles. What else do we have? Again, we talked other things, maybe try the rowing machine. I'd love to see that just as a change and thinking about posture while you're doing it. And then prone on elbows. I want you to lay with that on the floor, up on your elbows, either like this on your elbows or a little bit pushed up. But you're losing a little bit of that curve in your spine. You're losing the arch in your spine. This helps bring that back. So again, try to be purposeful here. Get here and watch something, do something. You can always, if you're on the floor already for core work or upper body work, this is just a great little rest position to be in. This was eye-opening, it was challenging and a little bit tender to do some leg lifts in this position. So we got to get used to this position again. So I know that's a lot. Gosh, I've thrown way much more at you on a first visit than I usually like to do, but it's just because a lot of little things jumped up at us. And Number one goal is we just got to get the back pain less frequent and less intense. And I really think hitting this variety, hitting a lot of these stretches will help with that. Once it's a little less tense, it's not talking to you quite as often, then we can start talking about how to perform better. But right now I'm not even on performance. I don't care about hiking distance or weights lifted or walking speed or anything like that. I just want that thing to calm down so you have a little more comfortable day. So try that out. Please get back to me. Let me know how this is feeling. And then I would love to meet up in 2 or 3 weeks, maybe a month tops, just to make sure we're on the right track. I'd hate to go too long pointed in the wrong direction. So give me an update in a couple weeks, and then we'll see if we can get back in here and tweak this list, make this a little more funneled down, a little more specific, and then also kind of, like I said, we can address core and some other strength moves. So sorry, that was a lot. I apologize. My best to you, and good luck, and keep me posted. Bye.